Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Woo! Sports Unfolded, episode 46. Welcome. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
How are you, Eric? A little
So
under the weather, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
You don't want to be on the IR? Is that what you're telling us?
No.
No
I'm
IR
not
for
like
you?
I'm not like an MLB player. You
IR
know,
with the sniffles,
I'm more of the NHLer.
the hockey.
That you punctured lung, whatever. You're out there.
So, Trading Block and Benchmarks is the name of the show. We are so excited about today's show. So much to unfold this week in the sports world. We are going to start off with our leadoff story, and that is one Mr. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who have lost another game this week. And the question really is what we want to ask. Is it time to bench Aaron Rodgers?
You know what? I think it is. I think they need to know what they have. They won't because they won't have the guts to do it. But I think they need to know what they have in Jordan Love
Agreed.
because I think this is probably the end for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Yeah. So, Manny, thanks for joining. Just want to say, I agree with you 100%. If you don't know what you have in Jordan Love, how can you move forward next season?
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers would still have some trade value.
right.
You can't afford to hang on to this guy after, a 4-7 start to this season, 7 interceptions. So he's only had double digits interceptions twice in his career. In 08, he had 13, and in 2010, he had 11. 08 was his first full year because he had sat for those first 3 years before Aaron Rodgers, before Brett Favre ended up moving on. So Aaron Rodgers didn't even start for the first 3 years of his career.
Right.
So his first year, again, basically a rookie, makes sense. He's got 7 interceptions run in 11 games. He's going towards a double digit, and he just doesn't look like he's in sync. There's something off, something wrong about Aaron Rodgers. So you don't think they'll pull the trigger? Why?
I just don't think they have the guts. Simple as that. It's the lack of a spine.
Yeah. I mean, so again, think about New England as well. How many times were fans, Tom Brady's, and there's been a famous four-letter, we call it the four-letter word network, where, Tom Brady was falling off a cliff and didn't look so well. And yet New England stuck with him.
Yeah.
Is the same thing. Does Aaron Rodgers get the same pass? Does Aaron Rodgers have the ability to say, look, I'm Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP. I've won a Super Bowl. I'm the face of the franchise. Can you even afford?
He may get one pass.
So this may be the season, but does that hurt the team going forward? Because again, now you have to make a decision next season. If you don't know what Jordan Love is, and you decide to move on from Aaron Rodgers next season without seeing what Jordan Love can do this season,
right?
Would that ultimately hurt the team?
Right. It will, and that's what's going to happen. So you look, what I think is going to happen at the end of the year, he's going to request a trade. And he's going to want to go somewhere where there's a receiver. And
Las Vegas. I called this last week, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
That could be a possibility. I still think what a possibility for Las Vegas is a trade with New England, but that's besides the point.
Okay.
Carr for,
Mac Jones.
Mac.
Ugh, I don't know if I want Derek Carr in New England, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But he's gonna request a trade. He's gonna get out of Green Bay. And you look at certain teams. Um, you look at New Orleans. I could see Carolina maybe trying.
Imagine Carolina every year getting another quarterback. Let's bring them back in. We're just going to keep doing it every single year. Every single year, Carolina Panthers, new starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. So let me ask you this question, Ron, before we move on to some other stuff. More likely to happen, Aaron Rodgers Green Bay, benched and then out of Green Bay, or Matt LaFleur, the head coach, being fired?
I think it's going to go hand in hand. Look, you're seeing a complete debacle in Green Bay right now, and Aaron Rodgers is going to want out. They're going to fire LaFleur, and it starts over. So they're going to trade Rodgers and get a few first round picks. Sorry, but you're looking at New Orleans. New Orleans could give 2, 3 first round picks. Why not? Because if you can control the offense in New Orleans, then that defense will play much better and they will have a contender. And I think in order for Aaron Rodgers to win another Super Bowl, he has to leave Green Bay.
And then what? The NFC South would have the two oldest quarterbacks in the league competing next year in the division of Tom
How
Brady.
ironic is that? Well, I'm not sold that Tom Brady will be in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, agreed. That could be a possibility as well. So let's continue with this NFL theme, and we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, who finally lost the game. They're 8-1, but they've just added Ndamukong Suh to the team. He signed, I believe, a 1-year deal. Are they the LA Rams of this season? So we think about what Los Angeles Rams did last season, right? They added OBJ, they got Stafford, Von Miller. They basically sold out to make sure that they had a team. Can this team be the Rams of last season and win a Super Bowl?
It can. I mean, you look at the NFC right now, and frankly, I think Philadelphia is the only really solid contender out there. I mean, say what you want about, Dallas or anybody else. I mean, those really are the only two teams that I can see going.
They're the ones that have been the most consistent.
And look, I don't give Minnesota credit enough, but I can't see them making the Super Bowl. I can't see it.
Yeah, I'm still not a believer. Even with I mean, they need miracles every week. They're winning games, but it's like this fluke of a situation. The odds that Josh Allen fumbles a ball on the 1-yard line or inside the 1-yard line on that play after they just got stopped. Like, what was the odds of that? It just, there's just little things with that. So think about this. Philadelphia Eagles, number 3 defense overall already. So they're one of the top defenses. And Ndamukong Suh last season, 27 tackles, 6 sacks. You're only asking them now to play what? Roughly 7 games, 8 games. They already have Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox. They just added Robert Quinn. They're already a stout defense to begin with.
Yeah.
They have the best record in the NFC.
Yep.
You just add a player that's a championship caliber player, what he did with Tampa Bay. Jalen Hurts we've talked about, is still playing very good football. It looks like he could be what we expect him to be. It's not one of these, he's been lucky. The only question would be, is that the NFC East is an extremely tough division. I mean, Dallas and the Giants have both played fairly well this season. So it'll be interesting to see how the Philadelphia Eagles respond with the loss. That's going to be interesting to me. So staying on this theme, let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr. So Odell Beckham Jr. is basically made a decision on 5 of the teams that he'd be actually interested in going to. I'm going to bring him up. Nice picture of him holding that Super Bowl trophy last year. I wouldn't mind because it showed Jerry Jones what they can do. Yeah, it's true, right? Bring guys in. This is a guy now that Dallas has been rumored to, Odell Beckham Jr. So there's basically been 5 teams, Ron, and we're going to decide, almost like a pick and roll style, which of these 5 teams is the best option for Odell Beckham Jr. So the Rams, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Giants have all been rumored or on his list of possible destinations.
Bills.
For you're leaving the Bills. Why?
Yeah, I just think going in Dallas, I just think it won't work. I'm just not sold on their whole staff, like the coaching staff. I'm just not sold on it. I think this coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing, and I don't think that they run the offense properly, and they won't even know how to use him because they'll probably want to overuse him, and that won't be a good thing either. So I like the situation in Buffalo. You have a great defense. You already have a great offense. He is a complementary piece to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's still going to be plenty of balls for him to catch, and I think that is the best scenario for Odell. I can't even speak.
OBJ, baby. Odell
OBJ.
Beckham
There we
Jr.
go. I think it's just the best situation for him. Whether
So
he
I
likes
kind
the
of
cold or not, I don't know.
Yes,
Snow.
I kind of disagree with you in this aspect. I went Kansas City. I think complimentary to Kelsey, that would be a very good combo. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, the number 1 seed in the AFC. If they can hold on to that gives a bye week. They would have the only bye week in the playoffs. I think that benefits Odell because of the injuries. Dallas, I agree with you. I just don't think there's too much pressure in Dallas. I think if he went to Dallas, he's going to be expected to be the Odell Beckham that made that one-handed grab way back.
He's going to be expected to be Jerry Rice,
and
he's
not.
Going to be expected.
He's not. We know he's not that. The Giants, that one doesn't make any sense. They are the 30th. They basically pass the ball less than any other team in the league. They're 30th overall. They only have average 161 passing yards. It wouldn't make sense. And it ended badly in New York. Like, to me, it wouldn't make sense to go back. It's like one of those movie stars when they keep getting married to the same dude and they keep getting divorced. And it's like, why do you keep going back? Because it's going to be the same thing over and over again. So to me, the Rams, they don't look like they're in it at all. They just have not been consistent. 3-6. There's no way he's going there. I agree with you. Buffalo is a strong contender, but I wouldn't be surprised.
My second choice would have been Kansas City.
City. And I think
that's a slim margin.
And they have so many wide receivers right now that he can just kind of plug and play.
Because personally, I think whichever of those 2 teams were to get him, it tips the scale.
Yeah, for that matchup, right? We think about the expectation is they're going to face each other in the AFC Championship game. That's what we think is going to happen.
Yeah, so if he goes to either of those 2 teams, that team goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. And the interesting thing is he's almost fully healthy where he's going to be able to play soon.
Yeah.
So when you get him back, he's back. It's not you're getting him back and you got to wait a few weeks. So you're going Buffalo. I'm going KC. We'll have to see how it all turns out. Manny, I'm sorry, no Dallas, my friend. No Dallas.
No,
that is not going to happen.
Dallas.
What about your games of interest for this week?
Oh, I got a few. I got a few. 6 of them to be exact.
Okay, you got one more than me. All right.
Yeah. Some of them for not the right reasons, but San Francisco, Arizona.
Yeah, I wanted to, and then I'm like, you know what? That NFC West is it's a mess. A mess.
I just think that San Francisco, if they can win this game, they take a strong hold on, at least a wild card spot. I think San Francisco ends up being the best team in the long run for the NFC. Whether they make it all the way or not, I don't know. But I really love the defense, and that offense can be scary now that you have McCaffrey there. Um, and I just think once they really, really start grinding away, I think that team's going to be the team to beat.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
they're the only team that can give Philadelphia a run for their money.
I think
That's it.
so. I think so. One of my games of interest: Browns at Buffalo, because now
Yes.
it's in Detroit.
Yes.
And I just think I don't know if that hurts Buffalo, helps Buffalo. I think it might help because now that again you can throw the ball, it's indoors. That gives them an element that they wouldn't have had with that weather that they've experienced out in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Almost
because if
7 feet of snow.
if it's gonna be a running game in the snow, the
Yeah,
7 feet of
right.
snow.
And that would benefit the Browns.
Oh, absolutely,
The
because they
Browns
got
had I don't
two
know.
basically all stars there.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd run in 7 feet of snow. Would be pretty interesting, but
Yeah, because they can't bring the little plow out.
yeah, like to
Every
kick a
time
field goal. Yeah,
it has a foot.
that would be interesting. Manny,
But
Jets, Patriots. I agree. There's some interest in that based on the AFC East
yeah,
and
I have
how
that
this could
game
all.
as well. I think that's
How,
going to be one of the better games, to be honest with you.
yeah, and then Cowboys, Vikings. I had the Cowboys, Vikings, and I think we talked about it a little earlier. I'm not sold on the Vikings, but I'm not sold on Dallas. This is one of those games where I don't know which team really needs to prove something. Because if Dallas loses, I'm kind of like, okay, it makes sense. Minnesota's 8-1. If Minnesota loses, it's kind of like, oh, I expected them to lose because I don't believe they're really 8-1.
Right.
I don't know how to gauge this game.
Yeah. It's a difficult
Right? It's
a difficult one to pick if you're doing predictions with it.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I just can't. What else do you have?
And the only other game that I have, actually, there's two others. I
Yeah.
have Kansas City and Carolina.
Kansas City and the
I mean,
Chargers.
the Chargers, rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, where did that come from?
Hey, I think they'd prefer to play Carolina, but
Well, because this is a big game. Because if the Chargers win, they're only a game behind
yeah,
Kansas City.
exactly.
Um,
But does anybody
and
really give them a shot? Do you give them a chance in that game?
it is home, so that helps. But I mean, that division has underachieved. Like, it's so bad. Like, when we looked at that division, we're like, oh my God, they're all going to end up with winning records,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
three
now
of them
look at
could
them.
make the playoffs,
Yeah,
right?
and now look at them.
It's a mess.
You got a
So,
Broncos game this week against the Raiders that might end up helping which team gets a number 1 draft pick.
yeah,
Like that's where that game is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, this is a big game for the Chargers. I don't think the Chiefs so much. The Chiefs
No,
lose, they'd be okay, but then you're talking about AFC seedings.
right.
The Chiefs, more or less, look, you've got the
Well,
number 1 seed.
and what it does, if the Chargers win, they only are a game back, and that puts them in a wild card spot, and it knocks Kansas City down to match with Buffalo, and then we still have this dogfight that is waiting to play out.
And if the
And
Chargers win and the Patriots lose, so the Patriots currently 7 seed in the
right,
playoffs. If it ended today, they're going to be jockeying for positions. Those teams.
yeah, that's a big game. So that's why I went with that Kansas City Charger game. And the other game is strictly because it should have been like a showdown. But now we're just seeing who gets the final nail in the coffin, and that is the Rams and Saints.
Yeah, again, that's
You're
another one.
looking at two teams that are just so disappointing this year,
Yeah,
and the loser is out. Loser's out.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
then go
it's
ahead.
no. I mean, when you're teetering on 7 losses, I mean, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, you have to win out going forward, and that's
Yeah.
like Green Bay yesterday. We're talking about when they lost. They have to basically win out now.
Yeah, and that's not going to
That's
happen.
their only shot.
It's not going to happen.
I had the Raiders Broncos, and again, that's more
Yeah.
for that one seed and number one draft
Yeah.
pick. Who can get that?
No,
But then
come
I
on.
also
Be honest. Be honest. You want to see the Raiders lose just to see if Josh gets fired.
it's and he's got the vote of confidence from the owner. You know what happens when that goes down? Usually, a vote of confidence means that your
So
job's
you're
in
getting the
jeopardy.
X.
I
I mean,
also had
how do you
Eagle.
fail with that team? How do you
I don't know.
fail?
Eagles at Colts. And you know why I have this game? Because for some reason I felt like Frank Reich was actually sabotaging the Colts because your best player was Matt Ryan at quarterback. You get Taylor back now.
Yeah.
For Jonathan Taylor back. This team is okay. They have a good defense, and the Eagles coming off a loss. Are they going to be able to bounce back? Sometimes we notice when we have those teams, Pittsburgh started off one year, I think 11-0, and then they lost like six
Yeah,
out of the next.
the Jeff Saturday factor.
Right? So it's just going to be so interesting, that game
That's
to me.
another game that would be tough to pick. I hope we don't have to pick that one.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too, my friend. Hey, it's triple play time.
Triple play.
Triple play. We had a fun one. So
Play.
we're going to rank the 3 passing leaders in the NFL today, who we're going to start, bench, and cut. But we're only going to base it off of what they've done so far this season, because the odds on would be yes. Because odds on we would go with Tom Brady, right, based on his experience and what he's been able to do. So we changed it this week to say, let's just talk about what they've done so far, and if we were starting a team today, based on what they've done. So I am first this week. I will start us off, give you the correct list, and then Ron will follow up with just some nonsense. But I am starting Patrick Mahomes. 7-2 this season, 66.9% completion percentage, almost 3,000 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's also rushed for 215 yards and a touchdown. I think you can see, no matter who you put on the field with Patrick Mahomes, he's made them better. Even losing Tyreek Hill, he's still got guys out there that are able to do some things. And I just think that he would be a benefit to my team as their starter. This is where I had a problem. I was really debating on who I should bench and cut. And based on the numbers, I should probably bench the guy that I cut. But I am benching Tom Brady. I want Tom Brady on my team just based on the fact that his experience, and he doesn't turn the ball over. He's had 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions so far this season. He's still thrown at 66%. He's 5-5, so he's a 500 quarterback, which, believe it or not, is crazy to think about right now. But you can see he can turn a team around, and they're starting to do that. I would want Tom Brady, which means, unfortunately, I'm cutting Josh Allen. He has a less completion percentage than the other two. He's also thrown 10 interceptions. So he's already in double digits. He makes some costly errors, and we saw that last week in Minnesota. A couple of costly interceptions. I wouldn't want him for that reason as my bench. So I went with Tom Brady, cut Josh Allen. That's my triple play.
Okay.
I'm going
to I'll shed some light on this.
Brady won 7 Super Bowls. We can't count them.
Right. So you're just going by this year.
This year only. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm starting Patrick Mahomes as well. Look, he's arguably one of the best, to ever play. I mean, when you look at these numbers, it doesn't lie. And when you take players away from him, he still does it. Okay. So, I mean, that's a given. I don't think it's close right now. So starting Mahomes is the way to go. I think if you ask 100 people, 99 are going to tell you that it is the proper call, and that other one person is a Buffalo Bill fan. So, with that being said, I am also benching Tom Brady. Not for the reason that you said, though. I am benching Tom Brady because the arm scares me of Josh Allen right now. I
That's a
don't
good point.
know.
The
I
injury. Yep.
don't know what is what with him. Now, it could be much worse than what the team is saying, much worse than what, Josh Allen is saying, because we all know a guy that really wants to go out there will say anything. Does Tua remind you of all of that?
Yeah.
The
No.
guy
Good
wants to
point.
be out there, so he's going to tell you something completely different than what it actually was. And I think that injury scares me. Um, I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to bench Tom Brady and I'm going to cut Josh Allen because of that reason.
Wow. I like it. That's a good way to think about it as well. I'm thinking turnovers. You're thinking injury. I mean, but again, there's a reason why we're cutting Josh Allen, which is really strange because if you think about him
A few
currently,
weeks
right,
ago, you were saying he's the MVP.
MVP, right? Exactly. So
Yeah.
now look at it. Look at how quickly that's turned around. But really interesting. Good triple play there, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some NBA talk. I'm going to bring up these two teams real quick and just discuss which of these have been the biggest surprise with their early season struggles, the Brooklyn Nets or the Golden State Warriors. If you had to say, I'm more surprised by them struggling, which team would you go with?
Oh, it's absolutely Golden State. Absolutely. Because with all the drama that has surrounded Brooklyn and how they played last year, this is not really a surprise. And to be honest with you, it seems like they're actually starting to come out of it.
Yep.
And Golden State, however, if they don't turn things around soon, they're going to be out of it.
So
And it's surprising. It's surprising.
I don't know if you remember the little conversation we had about one of their players recently and, some altercation
Oh,
in the
yeah.
preseason. And we said it would come back to bite them because of the team
Yeah.
chemistry and what would happen. The Golden State Warriors, I agree with you, have to be by far the biggest disappointment when we talk about the fact that, A, you can't blame the fact that they are a young team. They are a veteran team
Yeah.
who have been experienced. Ron, do you know what their record is on the road this season so far?
Not
So
good.
they're 6-9 overall,
Yeah.
0-8 on the road. They haven't
Right.
won a road game yet.
Yeah.
And you say a young team, hostile environment, they've been in it. They won in Boston in the finals.
Right.
Like you can't sit there and say you don't know how to win on the road. This is more a lack of the team chemistry, and it's been scorned by the fact that Draymond Green got away with what he got away with, and they wanted to make sure he got his ring that day, so they didn't suspend him, and it's coming back to bite them. They're 29th overall in the league in defense. There's 30 teams.
Right.
The only team worse
Yeah,
defensively
no,
right now is San Antonio.
look, this is what we talked about a while ago. Is karma in play? When you talk about karma, I mean, this is it right here. I mean, you're looking at a team that just can't get it together on the road. And when you have the talent that they have, and you might think that, well, they're going to put it all together, but there is clearly a division in that locker room right now, and I think they need to dump that problem.
Yeah, we talked about it before, right? Like a possible trade, something like do something to make sure that the team understands like that stuff's not going to be tolerated. And to your point, look, Kyrie's expected back Sunday. Maybe he learns his lesson. We know the quality of basketball he can play. Ben Simmons is starting to get into shape and form. The Brooklyn Nets, I think, will be fine. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to figure it out. They're in the playoffs currently if it started today. The Golden State Warriors, I don't know if you can fix that if Draymond Green is still on your team.
Yeah, no,
because if I got to
just
sit
think
on the
he's
bench,
too toxic at this point.
yeah, if I got to sit on the bench and I got to look over and I see him and I say, well, gee, you know what? Is he really a teammate of mine? Do I trust him?
Yeah.
At any moment he can just snap, like in the teams, there's no repercussion. I would question it.
And the victim in all of this is probably wondering, like, why is he still here?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
is he still here?
why wasn't there a suspension? If I had done the opposite, if I was Jordan Poole
Yeah.
and I cold cocked Draymond Green, do I not think I would be suspended? Absolutely, I would have been.
Yeah.
You're putting Draymond Green ahead of the team, and that's where the mistake happened.
Yep.
And it's coming back to cost them. And I'd be surprised. Ron, let me ask you this question: will the Golden State Warriors make the playoffs?
I think they will. The way they're playing, it's really bad, but I think they will. And I think they will pull off a trade at some point. I don't know who it will be. I believe it's going to be one of those two players.
Highest salary cap
And
in all of the
and when you look at it, if it is Jordan Poole that gets traded, that sends the wrong message.
Mm.
And then more karma coming your way.
All right, Major League Baseball, my friend. I think it's time to talk about Aaron Judge. He was named American League MVP. What's next, though, for Aaron Judge with this free agency now? Look, he broke the home run record for the American League. He's now won the MVP. How's this all going to turn out for Aaron Judge? And what makes Aaron Judge look good or bad during this free agent period?
I think he's just gonna wait. And he's gonna wait and wait and wait. And I think this is going to cause a ripple effect in Major League Baseball because he is going to be the first one, to come off the block. And that is going to hold everybody up. Because, like, you're looking at all these big teams with the free agents. They're going to try to go after Aaron Judge. And I got to think that the Mets are going to be in play for this. And I would not be surprised to see him in a Mets uniform.
So here are the teams that have been rumored that are interested. The Yankees obviously will be in that conversation. The Dodgers, just based on the fact that they may have money. Trey Turner, some of those free agents that they may lose, they'll have some money. The San Francisco Giants, we talked about it before, the hometown team going back home. The Mets have been rumored. I guess they're right now an investigation on possible, I wouldn't say tampering, but that Cohen, the owner of the Mets, and Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, are very close. So he's saying he won't make an offer because he doesn't want to cause ripples with Steinbrenner. And the league's kind of upset about that. Players Association, that's not how business works. We'll see where that goes. The Boston Red Sox. And I don't know if it's based on the fact that they need the player or they just want to hurt the Yankees. That would be my interesting part in that because they have players right now in-house that they may not keep. Bogarts, we've talked about Devers possibly. To get an Aaron Judge wouldn't make sense when you have younger players that have been in your organization for years. And then here's one that blew my mind. And I don't see this happening, but they have a ton of payroll space, the Chicago Cubs. So the Cubs could be involved in this based on the fact that they have more money to offer than anybody else. So Mike Trout signed the biggest contract when it came to dollars. But annually, they're saying now that Aaron Judge will probably get the most annually per year on the contract he signed, and he's looking at $40 million a year.
Yeah.
How much of that, though, too, as a team, do you start to look at and say, okay, maybe the next 2 to 3 years you've got Aaron Judge 50-plus home run, Aaron Judge. After that, there's a big chance you're spending $40 million a year on a player that may not hit 30 home runs because of his age. He'll be in the mid-30s. I would question that. Hence why I think the Cubs would do it, because the Cubs seem to make those bad signings.
Yeah, they do.
And then they try to dump it all, when they're really not being successful. So I'd be interested to see that. And then the only other thing, and we'll move on to the next story, but I was a little upset with the fact that they were hyping up the fact that he's the tallest player to ever win MVP. Who cares? He's passed Giancarlo Stanton as the tallest player to ever win an MVP. Is that a thing now? Is that what we're going to look at? So when somebody's a shorter, if you're just average height, I mean, just the average height, it doesn't matter then
Yeah.
at that point that you're
No,
MVP. That was
it's
a dumb thing for
it
me to
is.
bring up.
It is. It is.
I'm gonna. Well, he was the tallest. Yay! What did he do?
But
I'm sure that about
congratulations to him. He deserved it.
20 years from now, when we're doing Sports Unfolded season 22, I'm gonna get. You remember that year Aaron Judge was the tallest MVP? Like, it doesn't even factor into what we're gonna talk
Yeah,
about
and
going
then
forward.
but that was by 22 more years, it's going to be shattered like several times. Because,
Right? There'll be some guy that was
because
8
by
feet
then
tall.
people are going to be like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, science. So, one more story coming out of Major League Baseball. Shohei Ohtani has said he wants to play for Japan in the World Baseball Classic. If you were the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, whatever they are, blah, 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 would you feel comfortable allowing him to play with Japan? Or
I wouldn't feel comfortable, but you kind of have to, because if you say you can't, Shohei, you cannot play in the you know in this tournament. He's walking. He's walking.
But
He's walking.
do I put? I think I would put restrictions. Would you not put restrictions and say, look, you're not pitching. You can bat, maybe a DH. I don't want you in the field. Like, there has to be some restrictions to
Oh
this.
yeah, they
because
can
to
do
me,
that. They can do
he's
that.
way too valuable at this point for that organization.
It's a tough call, because you don't want to put him in a position where he's like, well, the heck with you. I'm going to do what I want, and then I'll just walk. I mean,
rocking a hot place right now.
Shohei's got all the cards.
Yeah,
He's got
and then
all
Mike
the
Trout.
cards.
Who knows Mike Trout's injury situation? But the fact that it starts in March would really concern me, because now you're going into the beginning of Major League Baseball season. So he's going to play more baseball than normal.
Yeah.
Already to begin. So I don't know. I just don't know how you justify him playing in this tournament. If he gets hurt,
Well,
could be,
I wouldn't use him in spring training.
Yeah, I just weird situation. Well, we'll see if they allow it. I don't know if they even have the ability. They may not even have the ability to stop it, Ron. Honestly, like you said, he may just say, "Look, I want to play. I'm doing it."
Yeah.
Face-off time. In this week's face-off, we're going to discuss. So this has been a big topic among the players recently. And should the NFL mandate that all NFL stadiums have natural grass? So a lot of them have complained about natural grass surfaces not being in stadiums because of injury. So one of us has to be for this and one of us has to be against it. I am first this week, so I will tell you right now that I'm against this, because I don't feel like natural grass is going to prevent concussions. You hit your head on the ground, it's not going to be any different than you hit on the turf. I've seen guys blow out their knees on grass. I've seen guys get injured on grass. They can say it less likely, but I don't truly buy that factor. It's really the difference is how you get hit, when you get hit, where you get hit. Natural grass doesn't stop that. And then what this will do is it'll end up making these teams pay more money, especially if it's an indoor stadium, to try to fund this, where now they're going to want to cut the payroll or do something to hurt the players in another aspect of it. While you want a natural grass, I think it causes a bad situation for the league. Keep it the way it is. It's really up to the owners in those stadiums to decide what they feel is the best playing surface for their product. And it does change the game. It makes the game different. It gives every team certain teams an advantage. So I would not change it. I would leave it the way it is.
Well, isn't there something about the cleats could hook up inside that artificial turf area? That might be a thing that you have to look into. So there's a lot of things that you still have to look into. But, you said it about baseball, how every ballpark should have the same dimensions.
Yes, that I
You
agree.
know, now wouldn't that be wise that all the fields are the same as well? So that
Mhm.
way there is no distinct advantage for a team that, has artificial turf or grass and stuff like that, because maybe you can run faster on it, you know. But I guess, you know, if you want it to be a even playing field, then you should actually have the same type of field.
So I'm going to give you an example of why your argument doesn't hold water. I feel like we're on My Cousin Vinny right now. If you look at the Miami Dolphins Stadium as an example, the way this stadium was built and positioned, they normally play 1 o'clock games for the most part. The opposing team, and they showed this stat during one of their games recently, is actually in the sunlight during the game, while the Miami sideline is in the shade because it's based on the way the sun is positioned at 1
Right.
o'clock. They
Yeah.
factored that in. It's like 20 degrees warmer on the opponent's sidelines every game in
Right.
Miami. So does the grass make a difference at that point? Because isn't that not trying to get an advantage as well? Now you're talking about dehydration. So should every stadium have a dome with fans, water, whatever? Like you can't, like each stadium is different for a reason when it comes to that. The dimensions are the same on a field, but the way it's built, the way the scoreboards are put in positions that benefit the home teams, all that is a factor. Versus baseball, where you hit a home run in one stadium that wouldn't count in another. Like that to me is a disadvantage. The playing surface really doesn't make a difference.
You don't think it makes a difference? Well, they got rid of all of that, the artificial turf in baseball, because it does make a difference.
Because they
You
literally used
know,
to zip up the turf. It's not that kind of turf in football. They used to
I'm
zip
just
up the
saying
carpet
it
in
is
baseball.
the same kind of a factor reason. So, there
Can a guy get
is
hurt on natural grass?
science.
So if a guy falls on his knees and on natural grass, is it
Of
just a fluke?
course, of
It happens
course.
everywhere. There is no
But
guarantee.
it is more likely on turf, because there is, it's just not the same footing as you would normally have. So when you're running and you're looking for a ball, it is different. There's a different feel, there's a different, even dare I say, texture to the ground. So there is a difference, when you are running. And if you're not looking at the ground because you have to look for the ball, it does make a difference. And
I disagree.
maybe everybody should be on grass.
They're going to go to all natural grass, and then guys are still going to have concussions, still going to blow out their knees, and then we're going to say, well, now what? Now you can't hit a guy because he might blow out his knee. Like, I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? You can't hit, we're going to play two-hand tag.
So what I suggest
Two-hand tag
is start
for the NFL.
watching all of those flag football leagues and get used to it.
That's it. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. NHL time, friend. And we're going to bring up this picture because we have the 2022 NHL Hall of Fame class, and they were announced. And you are my hockey guru, my guy. So I wanted you to kind of discuss some of these players and some of these people that were involved in this class, and then we'll talk about some guys that were left off that maybe should have gotten in. But that's that
where the
class.
talk is.
Yeah,
That's
great
where the
class.
talk
So
is.
Robert Luongo, great goalie, 480. Roberto Luongo, right? Luongo.
Yes.
489 and 392, 124 ties, 77 shutouts run, 2.52 goals against, a .919 save percentage, 2 All-Stars, and a Jennings. Your thoughts on the goaltender?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are there. I mean, they're there. Like, those are great numbers. It's weird too, because I have mixed feelings about Roberto Luongo. Like, I never really classified him as being that good. there are probably 20 to 40 goaltenders that I'd rather have over him. But I mean, those are great numbers. I mean, the
They're
numbers
really
are
good numbers.
there.
So, how about Henrik Sundin? And this was a big for the brothers here.
Yeah,
Vancouver.
Hendrick and Daniel.
Hendrick and Daniel both made it in. Hendrick, 240 goals, 830 assists, a plus 65 in his career, 2 All-Stars, a Ross, a Hart, and 2 Clancy's in his career.
Yeah.
So really solid numbers. And his brother, 393 goals, 648 assists, a plus 147, 2 All-Stars, a Rorson, and a Clancy as well. So if you think about what these guys meant to that organization, that's got to be a big moment for the Canucks fans out there.
Yeah, again, like, I'm not trying to dump on the Vancouver Canucks by no means.
I feel like you are, though.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not,
I feel like I am too.
Yeah.
It's like, the numbers are
we're never getting
good,
Christmas cards from anybody at this rate.
but 2 All-Stars, really? 2 All-Stars.
Both of them. But then the next guy only had 1 All-Star. And that was Daniel Alfredsson.
This is what I'm saying.
But maybe there were guys that were so much better. Daniel Alfredsson, 444 goals, 713 assists, a plus 155. Only went to 1 All-Star.
Yeah.
But he did win
that's
Calder,
a shame,
Ross,
actually.
a Clancy, and a Messier.
Yeah.
So you want
like those are some solid numbers, and to do it in Ottawa when they weren't very good. I mean, let's be honest, they weren't a good team, but he was fantastic. Now that is a guy that has a lot of skill. He was a great player, and I think 1 All-Star is amazing that he only went to 1. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that was
But
kind of crazy. Like
what position did he play? I mean, when you look at it, there's a lot of guys that were in front of him.
That's what I'm saying. That's where some of the problem. You may not make an All-Star just because the guys ahead of you were just so much better.
Yeah, but
solid career. You think about it, to put up 444 goals, 713 assists. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and like the Sedins, they're great players, but they needed more, I think, because it's like a package deal. So they both went in, and that's all fine and dandy. But I'm sorry, I would have rather had Cujo in there, Curtis Joseph,
or
Alexander McGillney ahead of them.
Rod Brindamore, Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah.
All got snubbed.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget to mention, though, Riikka Salonen.
Yes, the Finnish female player.
Yep.
She was
great
fantastic.
international player. 123 points in 81 games, Ron.
Yeah, I know. That's
pretty damn impressive.
That's unbelievable.
And then Herb Carnegie, inducted as a builder. He built a Future Aces hockey school to bring diversity to the NHL.
Yep.
And did you know, Ron, he tried out 10 years before Willie O'Ree.
Yes.
And he didn't make the team. I think it was in one of the New York teams. But so you think about what he meant to hockey from just a standpoint of building diversity, or trying to be, diverse in a sport that obviously hadn't seen that before. That was pretty impressive. So I thought that was a good one. I thought that was a really good induction there. I agree with you, though. There's some guys that were left off that probably should have gotten on prior to maybe the Sundins or even Luongo.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, like, I like all 4 of those guys that we mentioned ahead of everybody but Daniel Alfredsson. It's more, see, to me, the Hall of Fame, yes, you have to have the numbers, but you also have to have that it quality. You have to be the guy.
That's why I said Jeremy Roenick surprised me, because he was one of those names that was always mentioned he was a face of hockey. Like he had a spot in hockey where you knew Jeremy Roenick.
Right.
And
it was
that
more than just the points for him.
Yeah.
It is his physical play, it is his leadership role. There's a lot of intangibles that came with Jeremy Roenick, and you see that with some of the players today. And I won't mention Patrice Bergeron's name.
You not mention a Bruin? Come on.
Just saying, when it comes to the Hall,
Okay.
Look, I want that guy.
If he
I
gets
want that guy.
He gets snubbed. I can only imagine your rant. Your rant.
Ooh. And and look, I would take Cujo over Luongo any day of the week. I'm sorry.
And
I don't care about those numbers.
The 4 guys that got in, none of them won a championship. None of them won a cup.
That is disturbing too. That no one won a cup that went in.
Yeah, like to me, it's that was
I don't have a problem if a player doesn't win the cup to go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
but I want at least one of the class to be a champion.
You would think that would just kind of coincide, but interesting. Let's talk some Bruins. Mike Riley, the defenseman, has been rumored to want to trade from the Boston Bruins. They did put him on waivers. He wasn't claimed. He's down in Providence right now.
Right.
Your thoughts on what should happen with Mike Riley?
The Bruins have been trying to trade him. They're trying to trade him. But every team is cash strapped. And let's be honest, he is overpaid. That's just how it is. He can't find a team to take on his salary. And, Arizona doesn't want him. That's about the only team that's available to do it. And, there's nothing that the Bruins can do. They're stuck with him. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, so currently for the defensemen, they need to move with Charlie McAvoy returning. But then I started to look at their depth chart. Brandon Carlo, Connor Clifton, Derek Forbert, Matt Grzelcyk, Hampton Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy, Anton Strollman. We talked about that pickup just as the veteran, and Zolbril.
Yeah.
Right? So they're really stout defensively.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be hard for him to make this roster. One goal in 10 games so far this season.
Yeah.
And I think he's a -10. So, again, he's not been able to produce on the ice. It's tough for a team to look at and say, look, I want to trade for this guy when the production's not there.
He's a defensive liability. And with the Bruins getting more playing time by those defensemen moving up into the play, you can't have a defensive liability in your own end. Because every time that the other team breaks out and he is left back there by himself, he can't get the job done. Everybody else on that roster can get the job done and has been getting the job done. And therefore, he is like 8th on the totem pole. And when you're only playing 6, that spells doom. It's it's simple numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. To your point, I mean, maybe he can bounce back in Providence and start to show that he's a quality player that teams may want to trade for.
Right.
But it's going to all matter on what he does in Providence at this point. Ron, pick and roll time. Season 46, we always try to get something that involves for the number of our show. So at 46, we decided to go with in 1985, the Chicago Bears invented a defense that was considered one of the greatest defenses of all time. And that defense was known as the 4-6 defense.
Oh, that's how you came about this.
Buddy Ryan decided to make the 4-6 defense. Mike Ditka, we talk about the Bears, how famous they were in 85 with that team. We're going to debate how we would rank the 5 of some of their top defensive players. And those players were Wilbur Marshall, Richard Dent, Steve McMichael, William Perry, and Mike Singletary. I am first, so I will start us off with the correct list.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
At number 5, the Fridge, William Perry. So as good as he was for the name, Yes, he scored 3 offensive touchdowns when he had a couple of running and 1 catching. 506 tackles, 29 and a half sacks, no forced fumbles, the 1 Super Bowl championship in 1985. Just his numbers didn't impress me enough. Steve McMichael at number 4, 838 tackles, 95 sacks in his career, which is pretty good. 13 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. He went to 2 Pro Bowls. He was a 2-time All-Pro, his 1 championship. So good numbers, pretty good numbers if you think about where he ranks on this list. But this was where I struggled. 2 and 3, I was up in the air, but I went Wilbur Marshall at 3. 120 tackles in his career, 45 sacks, 24 forced fumbles. I thought that was really impressive. 23 interceptions for a linebacker. That's pretty good. 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. He had 2 Super Bowl championships, 1 with the Bears, 1 with the Washington team that we can't say their name anymore, but back then. At number 2, Richard Dent. 671 tackles. Joe, you're like, Eric, what are you thinking? That's not really a lot. 137 and a half sacks. 37 forced fumbles. 8 interceptions from a defensive lineman. 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ. He won 1 with the San Francisco 49ers as well. And if you look at MVPs of the Super Bowl, how many times is it a defensive player? Not very often. He was the Super Bowl MVP. That's pretty impressive for a defensive lineman. But at number 1, it has to be Mike Singletary. 1,488 tackles in his career, 19 sacks, 7 interceptions, but 10 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pros, 4 Defensive Players of the Year, and he won that Super Bowl championship in 1985. He was the heart and soul of that 4-6 defense. The Bears, Mike Singletary, by far the best player in 1985 from that 85 defensive team. That's my pick and roll.
It's not bad, but I'm going to put a little dent in it.
Hey, but I might have to court-martial you. Okay?
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. All right. So number 5.
We'll put it back in the fridge because it's going to be a little cold.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Number 5 is Steve McMichael.
You're off your rock already. Done. Shut you down.
Like, I like his numbers. I like the numbers a lot. Okay. Yeah.
But
number 4, I have the fridge. And after I'm done dying, I can tell you. The simple fact is, Refrigerator Perry was immovable. And his numbers will never show up on how much he meant to that team. He stops anything from developing in his range. And he had great range for that big of a dude. Like, when people ran the ball, you can't run the ball to him. It's just not going to happen. So, a lot of those numbers, the other players get a lot of the credit for it because of the fact of, Refrigerator Perry being there. So when you're forcing another team to do something that they're not good at, therefore you have
wins. I don't see it, but okay. But go ahead.
But you also have to look with his only 138 games. If you stop projecting out those games, those numbers become better. And
the funny thing? We do a Do You Remember on our hockey show, in the basketball show. I didn't realize he played for the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that. I don't remember him as an Eagle. It's kind of crazy.
No,
go ahead.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to.
Right?
So I had refrigerated William Perry at number 4. Oh, I'm so sorry, people. I can't do anything about it. I'm just so sick. But yeah,
But the
so
show
Perry
goes
at number
on
4. It does go on. Yes, we move forward. But you're not moving forward in front of
against the Perry. Yeah, we
Perry.
got it. Well, good job. Okay. Yeah, you're trying too hard now.
Number 3, I also had Wilbur Marshall. Those tackles. Woo, those tackles.
2020.
Yeah,
23
that
interceptions, Ron.
yeah. I mean, he
23.
was a great player.
Yeah. And
and
again, I remember him with those late 80s Redskins teams. I know we're not supposed to say that, but how good they were. So, he was a big
Yeah.
part of that defense, even on that team. So,
yeah, so look, I mean, the top 3 are clearly the top 3.
agreed.
There is a gap between 3 and 4. 4 and 5, I think, are pretty interchangeable,
Yeah,
as we
agreed.
did.
I could see your point.
Number 2, I also had Richard Dent. I think it was a little closer, than what it looks. I mean, outside of the fact that Singletary at number 1 had 10 Pro Bowls and 10 All Pro. 7 All Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, the 7 All Pro is impressive because that means you are the best at that position.
He was considered the best. And you think about 80s, it was all defense.
Yeah. So I think Richard Dent was just as valuable to that team. I mean, when you look at those sacks, 137 and a half sacks is impressive. But, Mike Singletary, all the accolades, even though he only won 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But 2 Defensive Player of the Years. I mean, well, he won 4 awards, 2 1.
Yeah,
and
the way they did it,
2
it was a little
yeah.
different. So he won 4 Defensive Player of the Years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 10 Pro Bowls, 137 and a half sacks. You don't think about Richard Dent being that dominant. So that number
Right.
really jumped out to me when I saw that. And 37 forced fumbles. So not only was he sacking the quarterback, he was causing a lot of chaos when it came to turnovers. So
Well, that's why I
great
had Perry up at number 4, because a lot of those sacks that Dent got was a lot contributed by Refrigerator Perry with that pressure up the gut with the big guy. So it flushes them out to other places, and those guys get the numbers, of course. But when you can put that pressure on them, that's why William Perry, to me, was a great player, and he didn't get enough credit for that.
And that team 18-1 that year. They only lost Miami Dolphins in the regular season. Dan Marino.
Yeah.
And dominated, steamrolled through the playoffs, and that Super Bowl against the Patriots just annihilated them.
Absolutely.
So why? Because of those plays. There was some really good
But this
plays.
was a really good one. I really like this one. That was an interesting one because it made you look at that team and to celebrate that team. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yep. 4-6 defense, baby.
Yeah.
The Bears.
Yep.
So it is prediction time. The lead is continuing to grow.
Yes, it
A
is.
horrible week last week for me and Manny. Manny 1-6. I went 1-6.
Ooh, I didn't do well. I'm disappointed in myself.
We all had some really bad picks last week.
I
The
went
two
from
that
9
I
and 2
didn't
to that. Or 9-1.
pick, yeah. So it was interesting to see. But we are going to continue.
How many weeks left?
So we've got 6 weeks left and 7. You've got 7 victories over me right now.
Wow,
so I'd have
you're
to
in
basically
major trouble.
catch one each week and then hope for a big one.
You have to catch more than one a week. More than one. More.
It's going to be interesting. But if you're joining us live and you'd like to put your picks in as well, make sure you do that. We are going to start off with the NBA on November 19th. The Utah Jazz are playing at Portland, the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm not sold on Utah. I feel like they're going to come down to earth. Portland's been playing better basketball. I went Portland here.
Yeah, I'm going Portland. I have no confidence in Utah. I think they're overachieving right now, and they're in for a rude awakening.
Right? And then Dame's back. Jeremy Grant's been playing great for Portland. Manny, if you're on, I know you've been pretty steady on joining in the predictions. Just let us know if you have a pick. He went Portland as well. All right, Manny. We got to bounce back, Manny. We were 1-6 last week.
Yeah, you guys are atrocious.
11-23. You got the Dallas Mavericks at the Boston Celtics. Ron, who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going Boston at home. I know it's
Luka.
Luka.
I thought you go Luka Magic.
Yeah, no, I'm going Boston at home. Look, I just think they're a better team as a whole. Even though the Mavs have the best player, but I'm going Boston Celtics. And
Manny went Dallas because he said he'll never pick another Boston team again. I went Boston as well. They're playing so good right now. I feel like they're probably the best team in the league right now. And if they can get their defense straight now, forget it.
Manny, to get back in this thing, you got to stop picking what I pick.
There we go. NHL on 11-21, we have the Boston Bruins at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thought this would be an interesting matchup if you think about the Lightning's experience. Can they stop the powerhouse Boston Bruins? I don't think so. I went Boston.
Yeah, I'm not going against the Bruins right now. I mean, 15-2. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning is just not the same right now. And yeah.
Manny's staying true to his colors. He is not going with any Boston teams going forward.
Yeah, I love the emoji answers though.
Yeah,
I do like that.
That's what we had. The frogs. You remember the TCU frogs?
Yes.
The Horned Frogs. 11-21, Ron, also is the Carolina Hurricanes at the Winnipeg Jets.
I'm going Carolina. I think, Winnipeg is playing pretty well, and Hellebuck is playing a hell of a game.
Hell of a game, yes.
But I just think Carolina is a better team, and they're going to show it in Winnipeg.
So it's going to be really hard for me to take a lead if I continue to pick the same teams, but I had marked mine beforehand. I did go Carolina as well. Just feel like they're the better team. They're the better team, more consistent, better players.
Yeah, it's pretty much over for you anyway, so you might as well just try to get better.
Go. Hurricanes. Look at the hurricane one, and he got a little tornado in there too.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, Manny.
Look at the emojis there. That's pretty good. I like that.
That is pretty good.
NFL action, Ron. We got the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. New England obviously won the first matchup in New York. Closer than the score indicated. I feel like the Jets are the better team. I feel like the Jets offensively are going to be able to do enough to beat this team. And I went the Jets.
I'm assuming Manny's going to go with the Jets, so we expect a plane up there.
Yeah. Get ready.
But I am going to go New England. They're playing at home, and I think this team is turning a corner, and they're gonna pull this one out.
He went with the wind blowing the Jets. Wind blowing the Jets.
Yeah, what's the wind for?
Because it's in the air. They're flying.
Yeah, okay.
We can already mark this one down for Manny as well. So 11-20, Ron. You got the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings.
This is a tough one.
I didn't put little cowboy boots or something.
I'm gonna go with Manny on this one, and I am gonna go Dallas. Even though all the experts on that other network, they're all saying Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going Dallas. I think, again, the defense is so much better in Dallas that they can create some turnovers.
Yeah.
And I think Minnesota, the luck's got to run out at some point where you're not winning these games in the last second.
Look, we all know that Dallas doesn't like family and what they're going to do to Cousins.
We're not. No, not doing it. 11-20 as well. You got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. I am going Kansas City. I don't have faith in the Chargers. I don't. they have not proven that they can be consistent.
Yeah, I can't go against Mahomes right now. And the Chargers, just another team that has disappointed fans this year. All like three teams in that division alone. Coming into it when you're one game above,
Yeah, I don't.
I don't.
The expectations are so much higher for the Chargers, and every week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
it would be nice if they do get the win, but
yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
So
Not seeing it.
if you had an opportunity, check out our Just for Kicks World Cup preview. Manny and Brian were great. The Diaz brothers did a phenomenal job. So we decided we're going to pick some World Cup games this week as part of that. So make sure you check that out. 11:21. We are going USA versus Wales, my friend.
Yeah, USA should be able to handle this team. I think they are better than Wales. I don't think that poses a threat.
A tie. Here we go with the ties. Manny with the tie. I went Wales. And I went Wales because, again, the competition that's been in the World Cup, even in the friendlies, USA hasn't done it well against. So I just feel like
you're grasping for straws. You know that.
I have to at this point. I have to take a couple shots here. I have to take a couple shots.
I'm going to go up by another game.
Okay.
That's to me, that's a gimme for me.
Okay.
That's a gimme.
Yeah. 11.
If I were you, I would have taken another chance on one of these other games that there's a possibility of.
I wouldn't go Chargers. I'm not going Vikings. Who would I go? Winnipeg Jets? That would have been the only other one.
Yeah, that would have been the one that I would have gone with.
11:22. Mexico versus Poland. Another World Cup. These two are considered two of the best teams in the World Cup. Again, check out that preview show if you need the information. I went Poland. I feel like from what I learned in our Just for Kicks World Cup preview, Poland is going to be able to dominate this tournament. They are going to be one of the favorites. I went Poland.
Yeah, I think you're taking some serious drugs there. I am going Mexico, and Ron is just blowing the doors off of Eric in the predictions. I mean,
Manny went Poland. Manny went Poland as well.
That's okay.
Soccer guys.
I don't care. I think Mexico is going to win that game.
So Mexico, okay. We'll see what happens. We got three different, so there could be a change in power coming up.
Even if I lost all three of those, I'd still be up 4.
That's all right, but that just makes it more interesting for 5 more weeks. Get ready.
Yeah, not
Ron,
favorites though. See, they're
If
not
you
favorites.
could bring up all the ways that people can follow us before we get into our final thoughts. Just so many different ways to watch, follow us on our social media. We're going to bring that ticker up. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. We are looking and actively looking for sponsors cheaper than a cup of coffee at one of your local establishments. Your name will be seen globally. So many different opportunities for you in our business. So check that out. If you'd like to donate bits or stars, bits on Twitch and stars on Facebook, you can do that as well to continue to help us grow. We are currently doing so many different things right now. We have soccer. We are actively working on continuing to grow that. We have an NHL rankings that we do each and every week, an NFL rankings, an NBA rankings show, MLB rankings when the season. So much going on with Sports Unfolded, and we want to continue to grow that and continue to do even more. So make sure you sponsor, make sure you follow every which way possible. The YouTube goal is 2,000. We're about 900 away from that on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Really excited to try to get that goal met. That would be phenomenal. And again, follow Sports Unfolded on all its social media platforms as well. So Rhode Island Broadcasting, some great shows, great programming. Sports Unfolded, so much going on there as well. Like, subscribe, share it. make sure you share our shows as much as possible and continue to help us grow. We are growing daily. Southeast Connecticut, SEC TV, Public Access Channel 12. We are on every Tuesday night. If you enjoy what you're watching and you're watching us now, check us out Fridays. Join us live. Fan Interactive. Manny's been on us all day today, and we're so excited to have him each and every week. You contribute to the show. Thank you so much. We continue to hope to grow that as well. Get our live viewers to make sure they join in. Ron, it is final thought time. You are first. I am first this week. So I will start us off. I actually have two. I know you
Oh
love
my
that.
God! Will you stop with the two?
But
Stop.
first and foremost, I want to give our condolences to the Virginia college football team who tragically had 3 players lost in a school shooting recently after a field trip where one of the students decided he was going to shoot some football players. 2 were also injured, one severely, where I know he had some surgeries. But again, our condolences go out to those families that were affected. That whole community. The game already against Coastal Carolina has been canceled, which I think is the right move. It's just too soon for those players to have to go back on a field and try to play a game. So sometimes we have to remember that life is more important than sport. Even though that's what our show is about. Unfortunately, tragedies like this, I think, deserve some time for those people to try to heal. I think the school made the right decision on that aspect of it with the NCAA. And then I also wanted to just wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving will be this Thursday. We're on, obviously, the Friday. So I want to wish the families out there a happy Thanksgiving. Ron, I want to wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving as well.
Of course, you
But
as well.
I just thought, again, we won't be on till next Friday, so we won't have an opportunity. So I wanted to make sure we got our Thanksgiving wishes out to all our family and friends out there and the fans. So thank you so much for your support, and we hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving. Those are my final thoughts.
Okay. So my final thoughts would be basically if I was being elected into the Hall of Fame, which someday, you never know, some Hall of Fame
You never
of
know.
broadcasting. You don't know this.
Never know.
Who knows? Who knows, right? So, so basically, what I want to do is what I am thankful for. Of course, I am thankful for sports because sports has been a big part of my life right from day one to now. Um, Grew up loving baseball and hockey, then grew into basketball, then grew into football, and now it's like every sport. I'm just
Yeah.
obsessed with all sports. But I do want to thank some of those players along the way. And if I start out with baseball, I want to thank Carlton Fisk for that nice home run. That is one of the highlights of baseball for me. Even though they didn't win the World Series, but it doesn't matter. That was a great moment.
That was the wave
Um,
one, right? The way he was waving it to go.
yes,
Yes.
of
Okay.
course.
Yep.
I also want to thank Dwight Evans, who is my favorite baseball player of all time. Nothing flashy, but great player, and I like that. And Fred Lynn, of course, you know. And of course, along the way, there's a Pedro here and a Poppy there, and so I want to thank all those players for bringing the game of baseball to me. Hockey, obviously, I could say Bobby Orr, but that's not where I'm going. I'm going Terry O'Reilly. Thank you for being a Bruin all those years and your whole entire career. Thank you, because the instillment of heart and soul is how I approach every day. And that is more than just the sports. So I want to thank him for that. I also want to thank, Cam Neely for throwing Claude Lemieux around like a rag doll in the playoffs, even though you didn't win that playoff series. But it felt good throwing him around, and I'm sure it did. And of course, Patrice Bergeron, because, again, you take that heart and soul and you put it into a player like that, and you got magic, and winning a cup is good. Let's bring home another one. Also, basketball became my third sport that I got into. And I want to thank Larry Bird for doing that, because watching him play was amazing. It was amazing. And that made me a basketball fan. You couldn't help but love his type of game. And that I want to thank. And football, how could we not thank Tom Brady for the New England Patriots? I mean, really, like, how could you not? And he may be a Tampa Bay Buck, but I have to give him credit. What?
Little picture right there, little Tom
Oh,
Brady.
oh, that's yeah. Yes, I mean, it is Tom Brady. He is the greatest, and I have him on my Mount Rushmore of sports. Period. All sports. Mount Rushmore. One of the top four. Michael's with him. Yeah, now you got to figure out who the other two are. But I just want to thank sports for giving me, what is part of me inside. The hatred to some teams is part of that,
Yep.
and that is what makes sports. You have that enemy that you just despise. And Eric is going to find out when he loses and he has to wear that Boston Red Sox jersey and hat and tote it on the show and has to sit there while every sentence I utter has something to do with the Red Sox uniform.
Okay.
That's it. I just want to thankful and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that joined live. Manny, thank you so much. And everybody that's going to watch afterwards, just make sure you share it and enjoy. And we want to, again, wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next Friday.
See you.
Everybody ask for us. Peace.
Have a great night, everybody.